Hello there and welcome to the GCSE revision video. Here we're looking at quadratic simultaneous equations, a really difficult skill in GCSE maths. What we're going to do is we're going to go through a few of the key points first, and then it'll be question, go through the answer, question, go through the answer, pause the question, and have a go at it as we go through the video. So let's just go through a few key points. So a quadratic equation looks like this thing here. Hopefully you've already done the quadratic equation video and this thing looks familiar. These are examples of quadratic formulas, so quadratic equations rather. We have an x squared part, sometimes an x part and sometimes a number part. You can see all the different varieties that might appear here. It might be in a different order, so it might be the number at the front and then the x squared at the back. It doesn't really matter too much. You could always reorder it just by putting minus x squared plus 5x plus 7 equals 0. So you can always reorder your quadratic equation to have the x squared part first, the x part second, and the number part third. When you're dealing with these kind of equations, what you might sometimes get in a quadratic simultaneous equation is algebra on both sides of the equal sign. So what you should do in this case is you should move by either subtracting or adding everything onto one side, leaving nothing behind, leaving 0 behind. And then what you can do after that is you can use the quadratic formula. This is the quadratic formula. You may have other ways of solving your quadratic equation. Sometimes factorizing is a good idea, but quadratic formula is always something you can use to solve a quadratic equation. You'll always get two answers. One way you have to do minus b plus the square root of this thing here, and the second answer comes from minus b minus the square root of that thing there. So it's two answers here, always two answers. Very rarely one, but sometimes two, but most of the time two, where you have to use the plus symbol first and then the minus symbol second. Okay, an important sub-skill of quadratic simultaneous equations is making sure that you know how to expand a square bracket. So what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to just practice this little sub-skill first. So pause the video and have a go at these three questions. Okay, so here's how you do it. When you're squaring a bracket, what you're effectively doing is that bracket times by itself. Because if you think about it, if you were doing 5 squared, you're going to be doing 5 times itself again. It's this number, this thing that's being on the bottom of the indice, multiply that by itself 2 times. So it's x plus 2 multiplied by itself 2 times. And then we expand the bracket. So it's x squared plus 4x plus 4. Because when you do the 2x and another 2x to give you the 4x, and then 4 in the end because 2 times 2 is 4. Pause the video and have a go if you didn't get that one, because you definitely need to practice on these two if you didn't get the first one. I'm now going to go through the second one. It's going to be x minus 9 times itself 2 times. So x minus 9, x minus 9. Expand the brackets. So it's going to be x squared minus 18x plus 81. The last one is going to be 2x minus 5 times by itself 2 times. So it's going to be 4x squared. It's going to be minus 10x, and then another minus 10x, so minus 20x. And then minus times a minus is a positive, so it would be positive 25. So there we are. That's a really important sub-skill that will continuously appear in questions to do with quadratic simultaneous equations, as will solving quadratic equations. So remember, your formula is, in fact no, I'll get you to remember the formula. So have a go at these three questions here, pause the video and try your best. Alright then, let's go through the answer then. So the quadratic formula input is going to be minus b, but this b term is already a negative term. This is the b value. When it's minus b, it goes to 9. So 9 plus or minus the square root of minus 9 squared, because it's b squared. Make sure the minus is inside a bracket. Okay. Then it's minus 4 times a times c, all over 2a, but a is just representing the number 1 here. C is representing the number minus 7, so it's going to be just over 2. So the answers here, we need to plug this into the calculator. This is what the calculator screen will look like. It's 9 plus, so we're finding the plus solution first. Minus 9 squared, so that's why the minus 9 needs to be in brackets. Okay, so it's 9.72. And then the second one, you just need to go back, use the arrow keys to turn this positive symbol here into a negative symbol here. So the answer for the second solution is minus 0.720. Okay, moving on to the next one. Let's just rub that little mark out. Okay, good. So 2x squared minus 7x minus 2. So again, using the quadratic formula, b is a minus 7 value here, so it's going to be 7 plus or minus the square root of minus 7 squared, that will go in brackets, minus 4 times a times c. C is the value minus 2. All over 2a, that would be 2 times 2. So type that into your calculator and you get 3.77 to 3 significant figures. And you also get, turning the plus symbol here into the negative symbol here, you get minus 0.266 to 3 significant figures. I'm moving on to the last one. Now all of them are negative, so what I'll do actually to make the input easier is I'll actually move everything onto the other side, so it turns into 0 equals 3x squared plus 8x plus 1. Just make things a little bit easier. So a is the value 3, b is the value 8, c is the value 1. You would have got the same answer doing it the other way, but let's just type it into the quadratic equation now. So it's going to be x equals minus 8 plus or minus the square root of 8 squared minus 4 times 3 times 1 all over 2a, that's going to be 2 times 3. And let's see what we get then. So the first solution is minus 0.131, and the second solution here is minus 2.54. That's all to 3 significant figures, all these answers. So there we are. Hopefully that's a little bit of a recap on solving quadratic equations. Let's get stuck into our first simultaneous equation then. So I'd like you to have a go at this one. Maybe you've seen how to do these before, but we'll go through a detailed answer once you've had a good go at this one. Okay, so what we're looking to do is we're looking to find x and y that satisfies both of these equations. So what we've got is we've got x squared plus y squared equals 41. But we also know that y is equivalent to 2x minus 3. So what I'm going to do in this x squared plus y squared equals 41, I'm going to replace y with 2x minus 3, because I know that y is equal to 2x minus 3. It's the same. If it's equal to it, it means it's the same. So it's 2x minus 3 equals 41. Now the word that we use for this step is the substitution. Effectively, we've done a substitution. If you think about footballers going on and off the pitch, what I'm doing is I'm bringing off the letter y and I'm bringing on 2x minus 3 because they are equal to each other. I can replace one with the other whenever I wish to do so, and in this case I've done that. And now what I've got is an equation just with the x letters in it. The next thing I'm going to need to do is expand this squared bracket. That's why we did some practice on squaring brackets. So when you square 2x minus 3, it's 2x minus 3 times 2x minus 3. So expanding the bracket gives you 4x squared, and then it would be minus 6x minus another 6x, that would be minus 12x, and then it will also be plus 9 from minus 3 times minus 3. So on the next line, it's going to be x squared plus 4x squared minus 12x plus 9 equals 41. Let's just tidy up the left-hand side a little bit. 5x squared, because x squared plus x squared is 5x squared, minus 12x, and then it would be plus 9 equals 41. Now in this case what we need to do is we need to move all the algebra onto the left hand side, and that only requires just taking away 41 from both sides. So it's going to be 5x squared minus 12x, and then it'll be minus, let's grab a calculator to make sure we don't get this wrong, 9 minus 41 is minus 32. Equals 0, great. So now that we've got what looks like a quadratic equation, we can now use the quadratic formula. So it's going to be x equals minus b, which is 12, plus or minus the square root of b squared, that would be 12 squared, minus 4 times 5 times minus 32, all over 2a, that would be 2 times 5. So let's type that into the calculator. Whoops, let me just rub off the working that I've got here. Okay, and this is what we should get out of the calculator then. So it should be x equals 4, and then when you do the minus answer, you get minus 1.6. And we're nearly there. We've still got to find out the y letter though. So when x equals 4, we can use the easier of the two equations to work out what y needs to equal. It's going to be 8 minus 3, because 2 times 4 is 8. 8 minus the 3 gives you 5. So one pair of solutions is going to be x equals 4, y equals 5. And then the other solution is when x equals minus 1.6, y is going to equal, well, 2 times minus 1.6 is minus 3.2, and then you've got to take away another 3, so that would be minus 6.2. So the other solution is x equals minus 1.6, y equals minus 6.2. And there we are. These here are our solutions to this quadratic simultaneous equation. So really difficult skill here, lots of work to do. You get given a very small question and you have to produce lots of work for it. So take the more complicated equation and substitute in your other letter if you've got it algebraically. Expand the double brackets and then simplify, solve your quadratic equation, and then replace the x letters into the easier of the two equations to work out the y equation. Alright, we're going to get lots of practice at this in this video, so do not worry if that didn't go so well. Let's have a go at another one. Pause the video and give this one a go. Okay, so let's get started on this one then. So it's going to be x squared plus y squared equals 20. That's the more difficult one. And then what we're going to do is we're going to replace the y letter with 3x plus 2. So it's going to be x squared plus 3x plus 2 squared equals 20. So we've just replaced y with 3x plus 2. That still means that we need to square the y letter, or square whatever's replaced by y. Okay, so 3x plus 2 needs to be squared. Let's now expand those brackets. So it's going to be 3x plus 2 times another 3x plus 2 equals 20. So it's going to be x squared plus 9x squared, so 3x times the 3x. Then it's going to be 6x plus another 6x, that would be 12x. And then it'd be 2 times 2 is 4. Let's group everything together, so it's going to be 10x squared, because we've got 1x squared and 9x squared, plus 12x, and then take away the 20 onto the other side, and you've got minus 16 equals 0. If I had room, I'd carry on going down, but I need to refresh up here now. What I think I'll do is I'll actually divide everything by 2, because that will make the numbers easier that I'm replacing into the quadratic formula. Okay, now I've got myself a quadratic formula. It's been fully simplified. So it's going to be x equals minus 6 plus or minus the square root of 6 squared, that's 36, minus 4 times 5 times minus 8, all over 2a, that's 2 times 5. So let's grab our calculator. First solution is 4 over 5, or in other words 0.8. And the second solution is minus 2. Okay, so let's now find out the y solution. So it's going to be 4 over 5 times 3, that would be 12 over 5, plus 2. 2 is equivalent to 10 over 5, so it's 12 over 5 plus 10 over 5, that will make it 22 over 5. And then the x solution, it would be 3 times minus 2, that's minus 6. Add 2, that will make minus 4. So y equals minus 4. Okay, so that is one pair of solutions, and this is another pair of solutions as well. So there we are. Hopefully you're getting better and better as we go through these questions, and I'm sure you will as we go through a lot more simultaneous equations in this video. So let's move on to the next one. Pause the video and give this one a go. Okay, let's go for it then. So once again, we're taking the more difficult one, x squared plus y squared equals 20. And we're replacing the letter y with 10 minus 2x. So it's x squared plus 10 minus 2x squared equals 20. Then what we do is we expand the bracket and we treat it as two brackets multiplying together, both containing 10 minus 2x, because when you square something, you multiply it by itself. So, expanding the brackets, we're going to get 100 minus 20x, but minus another 20x, that will be minus 40x. And then it will be plus 4x squared. Two negatives make a positive. Equal 20. Let's simplify what we've got here now. It's going to be 5x squared minus 40x. And then it's going to be 100, take away 20, so that will be plus 80. Notice here how I like to always have my x squared term first, my x term second, and my number on the end last. Let's divide everything by 5 because that will make the calculation a lot easier. Dividing everything by 5, 16 won't be 16, will it? It'll be 8, and then 8x, and then it'll be 16 equals 0. Good, okay, so the equation we've got here, let's rewrite it out, is x squared minus 8x plus 16. Now, I said before that there are other ways of solving an equation other than using the quadratic formula. Let me show you one of them. So we can also factorise. I can spot here that this will factorise into x minus 4, x minus 4. Because when you expand the brackets, you're going to get 16, minus 4 times minus 4, and when you think about the x number, it will be minus 4x minus another 4x, that will give you minus 8x. And then when you've got a pair of brackets like this, what you're looking to do is find the x number that will make the bracket equal 0, because when you've got something times something else, and it equals 0, then one of these brackets must have equaled 0 to get a multiplication of equal 0. So the answer here is going to be 4. 4 is going to be the only x solution. As I say, sometimes it's only 1, but most of the time it's 2. In this case it is 1. And we now need to find out what the y value is. So it's going to be 10 minus 2 times 4. So that's going to be 8. So 10 minus 8 is 2. So this here is the only solution this time to this quadratic simultaneous equation. In the previous question we had 2, and usually you would get 2. Sometimes and rarely you will get 1, and in this case you do get 1. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Pause the video and give this one a go. Okay, so let's get started on this question then. It's going to be x squared plus y squared equals 26. And now we're going to replace y with 3 minus 2x. So the y is being squared, so the 3 minus 2x is going to have to be squared as well. So it's 3 minus 2x squared equals 26. Now what you actually do when you square a bracket is you multiply that bracket by itself 2 times. That's what the 2 there is representing. It's multiply this by itself 2 times. Now let's expand the bracket. So it's going to be x squared plus 9 minus 6, and then minus another 6, that's minus 12x. And then minus 2x times minus 2x is plus 4x squared. You've got two x's that are multiplying together there, that makes the x squared, and then minus 2 times minus 2 is plus 4. So let's group all this stuff together. We've got 5x squared in total, 1 at the front, 4 at the back. then it's minus 12x plus 9 equals 26. And then when you solve a quadratic, you need all of your terms on the same side. So we now need to take away 26 from both sides. And that will leave us with minus 17 equals 0. Okay, let's move on to the part now where we start solving this quadratic. So we now have our quadratic in the correct form that we'd like it in. It's all on one side and it's got a clear x squared term, an x term and a number term. I'm pretty sure we can do this one by factorising. So if we put 5x over here and x over here, and maybe we put minus 17 here and plus 1 here, then that will be able to expand to give us the line above. So therefore, if one of these brackets multiplies together with the other one to make 0, then each one of these brackets could potentially equal 0. So either x is equal to minus 1, that's the easy one, or 5x equals 17, in which case x is equal to 17 over 5. Now let's work out the y position, let's work out the y value at these values. So it's going to be 3 minus 2 lots of 17 over 5, so that's going to be 15 over 5, that's 3, minus 2 lots of this, that would be 34 over 5. And we can do this without a calculator, I'm sure. That would be minus 19 over 5, I'm pretty sure. And then the y coordinate for this one here is going to be 3 times minus 2, so 3 take away 2 lots of minus 1, so that's going to be 5. So our solution pairs are x equals 17 over 5, y equals minus 19 over 5, that's one pair, and then the other pair is x equals minus 1, y equals 5. Okay, so there we are, that's the answer to this question. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Pause the video and give this one a go. Okay, so this one's a little bit different. What I'm going to do before I get started on the more harder equation is I'm going to rearrange the slightly easier equation because it's not got y equals. Generally on the last couple that we've done it has y equals, so it's really easy to replace the y letter. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add 2x onto the other side, so it's going to be y equals 2x plus 5. And now that it's y equals 2x plus 5, I'm now going to replace y with 2x plus 5 in the equation above. So it's going to be x squared plus y, which is equal to 2x plus 5. The y is being squared, so this bracket needs to be squared. Then when you square a bracket, you're effectively multiplying that bracket by itself 2 times. That's what the little 2 represents. Let's expand the brackets now. It's going to be x squared at the front, but then it's going to be 4x squared. Then it'd be plus 10x plus another 10x. That would be plus 20x. And then plus 25 at the end equals 25. Let's group it all together. It would be 5x squared plus 20x plus 25 equals 25. We need to put everything on the same side, so we now need to take away 25 from both sides, and that will just leave us with 5x squared plus 20x equals 0. So now we need to solve this as a quadratic equation. It doesn't have a number on the end. Now the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to divide everything by 5, just to make the numbers a bit easier. So the next step, if I had room below, I would use that room below, but I've got to start up here again. And I'm trying to factorise now, and the only thing I can really do to factorise this is do a one bracket factorisation. And what are the solutions here? Well, we need either of these components to equal 0, so either x equals 0 or x equals minus 4. So when x is equal to 0, the solution pair for that one will be 2 times 0 is 0, plus 5 is 5. And then when the x solution is minus 4, that will give us minus 8, plus 5, that's minus 3. So these are the two solution pairs then, 0 and 5, and minus 4 and minus 3. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Pause the video and give this one a go. Okay, so this question here is going to be slightly different to the ones before. Generally in the questions before, we've been putting y in from the second equation. But in this question, it does look a little bit easier if we were to rearrange and make x the subject. So this is going to be 1 minus 2y. So what I'm going to be doing in the slightly harder equation on the top, 2x squared minus y squared equals 17, is I'm going to be replacing the x letter this time. It would be much easier to do that rather than thinking about dividing by 2, so I'm going to replace x equals 1 minus 2y. So it's going to be 2 bracket 1 minus 2y squared minus y squared equals 17. Now I'm going to leave the 2 at the front and I'm going to expand this double bracket together first. Then I'll double everything on the inside. So the expansion of the bracket is going to be 1 minus 4y plus 4y squared. Then we take away the y squared at the back because that's still there, equals 17. Let's now double everything that's inside the bracket. Not doubling anything else, just the stuff inside the bracket. Now let's tidy this up. If I had room, I would carry on going downwards, but I've run out of room. So it's going to be 7y squared, because I've got 8y squared and minus y squared. Then it's going to be minus 8y. Then it's going to be take away 17, so that's going to be minus 15 equals 0. And now we should be able to factorise this. We've now got it as a quadratic equation. Yes, it doesn't have x's in it, it has y's in it, but it's still the same thing basically. So it's going to be 7y minus, let's think about this, if I do a minus 15 here, and then a plus 1 over here, that will move the minus 15 up by 7. Yeah, there we are. So it's going to be y equals 15 over 7, or y equals minus 1. Let's now find the x pair of the solution. So it's going to be 1 minus 2 lots of this. So that's going to be 7 over 7 minus 30 over 7. So that's going to give us minus 23 over 7. So that's the solution pair, this thing here and this thing here. And then when y equals minus 1, x is going to equal 3. 1 minus minus 2, that will give us plus 2, which is 3. So there we are, that's the answer to this question. A little bit tricky, that one, so sometimes you have to replace the x letter, sometimes you have to replace the y letter, and this is the first case in which we've seen we have to replace the x letter for y letters. Okay, let's move on to the next one, pause the video and give this one a go. Okay, so let's get started on this question then. So it looks like here we're going to be replacing x with y minus 3. We can see here that that's the equation of the second one. So it looks like x is going to be replaced with y minus 3. So let's write out the first equation, 2x squared plus y squared equals 15. We'll leave the 2 at the front and the x is being squared, so y minus 3 is going to be squared. So y minus 3 squared plus y squared equals 15. Okay, let's now deal with the squaring of the brackets. Now when you have a square on a bracket, you're effectively multiplying that bracket by itself 2 times. That's what the 2 is representing. There are 2 lots of this multiplied together. So expanding the brackets, that's going to give us y squared minus 6y plus 9 plus y squared equals 15. Let's expand the bracket with the 2 now, so 2y squared minus 12y plus 18 plus y squared equals 15. Let's now simplify this. We've got 2y squared plus y squared, that's 3y squared minus 12y, and then we've got 18, but then we'll take away the 15 onto the other side as well, so that will give us plus 3 equals 0. Let's move up to here. Let's now take this equation and divide it through by 3, so y squared minus 4y plus 1 equals 0. And I don't think this one can be factorised, so we're going to have to use the quadratic formula. It's going to be y equals minus b, that would be 4, plus or minus the square root of b squared, that's minus 4 squared, that's 16, minus 4 times a times c, all over 2a, that would be over 2. So grab your calculator and then type all of that into your calculator. So the first solution is going to be 3.73 and the second solution is going to be y equals 0.2679. Then we need to work out the y part of this solution, so the x part of this solution, so we can use the easier of the two equations. All we need to do is take away 3 from the y equation and we're there. So x is going to equal either 0.73 for this pair of solutions here, or x is going to equal this minus 3, let's do it on the calculator, 0.2679 minus 3 equals minus 2.732. So there we are, that's the answer to this question here. We've got two pairs of solutions and it's to 3 decimal places. Whoops, we haven't done this one to 3 decimal places, have we? Let's cross that one out. So x equals, and that's to too many decimal places, so that needs an 8 on it. Let's do it as 0.732. There we are. And this one here needs a 2 on the end as well. Now it's all to 3 decimal places. Lovely, perfect. So yeah, good idea. Just at the end of the question, just make sure you're given the correct degree of accuracy for the question. Okay, let's move on to the next one then. Pause the video and give this question a go here. Okay, let's have a go at this one now. Now we can use a little slightly cheekier technique here, and let me show you what you can do in this case. We've got y minus 4 equals 3x. I'm going to move the 4 onto the other side. So it's add 4 onto the other side. And now what we've got is y is equal to 3x plus 4, and y is also equal to 5x squared. Now if y is equal to both of these things, then these things must equal each other because they're both equal to y. So 5x squared is equal to 3x plus 4. So if you ever get two equations where it's y equals and y equals, you can just set the two things that y is equal to together. So there's a little bit of a sneaky strategy for this one. We've now got a quadratic equation, so we can now move everything onto the same side and start using the quadratic formula. So it's going to be x equals minus b, that would be 3, plus or minus the square root of 3 squared, which is 9, minus 4 times 5 times minus 4, all over 2a, so that's going to be over 2 times 5. So let's grab the calculator and see what we get out of this then. So the first solution is going to be x equals 1.243. And then when we work out the y part of this solution, see how I'm doing 3 answer plus 4, that's going to give me the y solution here. So that'll be 7.73, making sure I do my answers to 2 decimal places. And then the next solution is going to be, whoops, it's going over our answers here, but it's minus 0.64. And then the y solution is going to be y equals 2.07. And that's all there to 2 decimal places, all of those answers. So there we are, a little bit of a sneaky strategy there. So if it's y equals and y equals your 2 equations, just set the 2 things that y are equal to together. Okay, let's move on to the next one. So similar strategy to the one before. Pause the video and give this one a go. Okay, so if we have y equal to 2x squared and y equal to 20 minus 3x, then if y is equal to both of these things, then these things must be equal to each other. 2x squared equals 20 minus 3x. Okay, so now let's move everything onto the same side. 2x squared plus 3x minus 20 equals 0. Let's see if we can factorise this. I reckon 2x and x might go in brackets together. And if I do a minus 5 and a plus 4, then that will give me 8x, but minus 5x, that will give me 3x. Lovely. So x is either equal to 2.5, that's 5 over 2 as a fraction, as a decimal I mean, or x is equal to minus 4. So in our pairs of solutions, when we have 2.5 as our x value, that would be 7.5, so that would be y equals 12.5. And when x is equal to minus 4, it's going to be y is equal to 20 minus 12, so that would be 20 plus 12, so that would be 32. So there we are, these are our pairs of solutions. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Pause the video and give this one a go. Okay, so we're back now to the original style of equation here. We're at x squared plus y squared equals 2, and we've got y is equal to 2x minus 3, so I'm going to be replacing y with 2x minus 3, and y is being squared, so it's 2x minus 3 squared equals 2. Let's now start expanding the bracket. So when you square a bracket, you're effectively multiplying that bracket by itself 2 times. That's what the little 2 represents. Expanding the brackets, you get 2x times 2x is 4x squared, minus 6x minus another 6x, that's minus 12x, and then plus the 9 from the minus 3 times minus 3. Okay, let's simplify now. X squared plus 4x squared is 5x squared, minus 12x, and then 9, take away the 2, you get 7. Alright then, so let's move on to the next line then. We've now got our quadratic equation, and I'm getting a good sense here that I could factorise this. So 5x and x, if I put a, let's think about it, if I put minus 7 here and minus 1 here, then that will multiply to make positive 7, but then I'm going to get minus 5x and minus 7x, that will give me minus 12x, good. So x is either going to equal 7 over 5, that's the same as 1.4, or x is equal to 1. You could have done exactly the same process on the quadratic formula here. This is just a bit of a quicker way of doing it in my opinion, rather than typing it all out on the calculator. So substituting it back into the y equation then, so it's 2 times 1.4, that's 2.8, minus 3 is minus 0.2. And then for y equals 1, we're going to get 2 minus 3 is minus 1. Lovely, there we are. That's the answers, this pair of solutions to this quadratic simultaneous equation. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Pause the video and give this question a go. Okay, so we're looking to either replace x or y in the second of the two equations, so x squared plus y squared equals 18, but at the moment we haven't got an equation that has y equals or x equals, so we're going to have to manipulate this little equation here just ever so slightly, so it's y plus 2x equals 3. And the simplest thing to do here will be to take away the 2x onto the other side. So 3 minus 2x, so we did a slight rearrangement of that one. And now we're going to plug in 3 minus 2x. So it's going to be x squared plus, and then in brackets 3 minus 2x, all squared, equals 18. We're squaring the bracket because y was being squared in the initial equation. Let's now expand the brackets, and when you square a bracket, you're effectively multiplying that bracket by itself 2 times. So let's expand the bracket. We're going to get 9 minus 6x minus another 6x, that would be minus 12x, and then 2x times 2x is 4x. Sorry, or minus 2x times minus 2x is 4x squared, positive from two negatives. Let's now simplify. It's going to be 5x squared, and it's going to be minus 12x, and then it'd be 9, but take away 18, I'll have minus 9. Okay, so this is now our quadratic equation. And let's see if we can factorize this. So it'd be 5x and x. And if I have minus 3 here and plus 3 here, that would make minus 15x, and then plus 3x, that will get it back up to minus 12x. So x is equal to minus 5/3, and x is equal to 3. There are two solutions. So now we're going to work out the y solution from the y equation, the easier of the two preferably. So it's 3 minus 2 times x. So that's going to be, the fraction is going to be over 3, so it would be 9/3, that's the 3 part, minus 2 lots of this, that would be plus 10/3, so that's going to be equal 19/3. And then for the x equation, it's going to be 3 minus 2 lots of this, so y equals minus 3. So there we are, those are our two solutions for this equation here. We've got the pair of minus 5/3, 19/3, and then 3 and minus 3. Okay, let's move on to the next equations. Pause the video and give this question a go. Okay, so similar question to last time. We've got y minus 3x equals 15, and this is going to need a little bit of rearranging before we substitute y in. So we need to add 3x onto the other side, so we get y equals 3x plus 13. Okay, so now we can substitute this into x squared plus y squared equals 25. So it's going to be x squared plus, and then y is equal to 3x plus 13. And y was being squared before, so this bracket's going to need to be squared as well, equals 25. The next thing we need to do is now treat this bracket as if it was being squared, and when you square a bracket, you're effectively timesing that bracket by itself 2 times. That's what the little 2 is representing. Multiply this thing together 2 times. Let's now expand the brackets, so it's going to be 9x squared, then it will be plus 3 times 13. What's 3 times 13? 3 times 13 is 39, but then we have another 3 times 39, so times that by 2, and we get 78. So 78x, and then it will be 13 times 13 is 169. Equals 25. Let's now simplify. It's going to be 10x squared plus 78x, and then it's going to be plus 169 take away 25. That gives us 144. So I've taken away the 25 onto the other side. When you solve a quadratic equation, everything should be on the same side. Well, I definitely know that all of these things can divide by 2, so we might as well divide everything by 2 here. That's going to give us 5x squared, 39x, and plus 72. Okay, so this is our quadratic equation to solve then. 5x squared plus 39x plus 72 equals 0. So let's see what we get from the quadratic formula then. It's going to be x equals minus 39 plus or minus the square root of 39 squared minus 4 times 5 times 72. All over 2a, that's going to be 2 times 5. Okay, so let's see what we get out of the calculator. Oh, it's a pretty nice number actually. That's pretty handy. Maybe we could have factorised this in some way. It's a pretty difficult one to factorise, so I'm not too fussed that I use the quadratic formula here then. And then the next one is going to be 4.8, minus 4.8. Okay, let's now plug both of these back into y equations. So y equals 3 times minus 3, that's minus 9. Add the 13, you get 4. So that's one pair of solutions. And then minus 4.8, well, 3 times minus 4.8 equals, that's going to be minus 14.4. But then add the 13, you're going to get minus 1.4. So there we are. That's the answer to these two sets of equations then. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Pause the video and give this question a go. Okay, let's start going through this question then, and it's a pretty straightforward one actually. X squared plus y squared equals 29. And it's already got a y equals for us, so I can just now replace the y with 8 minus 2x. the y was being squared from before, so now the bracket needs to be squared. The next thing I'm going to do is expand the brackets and treat this squaring as the bracket multiplying by itself 2 times. So it's going to be x squared. 8 times 8 is 64. 8 times minus 2 is minus 16, but there'll be another minus 2x times 8, so that'll be minus 32x in total. Minus 2x times minus 2x is 4x squared, and that equals 29. So let's group this together now. It's going to be 5x squared minus 32x, and it's going to be 64 take away 29. 64 take away 29 is 35. And it doesn't look like to me that we can simplify this any further. So I think what the best thing to do now is going to be to pull out the quadratic formula. So it's going to be x equals minus b, that would be 32, plus or minus the square root of 32 squared minus 4 times 5 times 35, all over 2 times a, that would be 2 times 5. Okay, so let's now see what we get out as x values. So we're going to get 7.35. And then when you do 8 minus 2 answer values, we're working out y here now, we get minus 6.70. For the next solution, x is going to equal minus 0.952. And then when we do 8 minus 2 answer, we're going to get 9.90. And there we are, those are our two solutions. The pairs of solutions are these two here. Lovely, there we are, that's the answer to this question. Hopefully these are getting more familiar now. Alright, on to the next pair. Ooh, this looks quite tricky here. Okay, pause the video and give this question a go here. Right, okay, we've got y squared plus 4x equals 12 and 2x plus 3y equals 10. Now I can see here I've got 4x here and a 4 and a 2x here. Now if I double the second equation, I can get a 4x. I'll get 4x plus 6y equals 20. And then if I take away the 6y onto the other side, I get 20 minus 6y. Okay, so I now know that 4x is equal to 20 minus 6y. So when I take my equation y squared plus 4x equals 12, I can replace 4x with 20 minus 6y. So y squared plus 20 minus 6y equals 12. And I've done a substitution here. 4x is equal to 20 minus xy, so that's why I've just replaced 4x with 20 minus 6y. Now the next thing to do would just be to simplify this into a quadratic equation. So 20, but then I'll take away the 12 onto the other side because everything must be on the same side. That will give me plus 8 equals 0. And I'm pretty sure I can factorize this. It will probably be minus 4 and minus 2. So therefore when y equals 4, let's work out what x needs to equal. So it's going to be, what's the best way of doing this? Let's put it back into this equation here. So it's going to be 2x plus, and 3 times 4 makes 12 equals 10. Take the 12 onto the other side and you're left with 2x equals minus 2. So x equals minus 1. First solution. And then when y equals 2, we'll do the same thing. Take this equation and put y as 2 in. So 2x plus 3 times 2 is 6 equals 10. So then 2x equals 4. So x equals 2. So that's the other part of this solution here. X equals 2. So what I did there is I took the easier of the simultaneous equations and I replaced y with the two y values that I had to get the x values that I needed. Okay. So there we are. Here are our solutions. Y equals 4x equals minus 1 and y equals 2, x equals 2. Let's move on to the next one. Pause the video and give this one a go now. Right, okay, this one's going to be quite tough, okay? So what we're going to need to do is we need to make one of the x or the y's the subject of the second one. So I'll start with 3x plus 4y equals 7, and I can't see much other way of doing this apart from just forcing the issue. So 3x equals 7 minus 4y, and then divide by 3, so x equals 7 minus 4y divided by 3. Now I'm going to take the second of my simultaneous equations, x squared minus 4y squared equals 9, and replace x with 7 minus 4y over 3. So 7 minus 4y over 3 squared, because x was being squared, minus 4y squared equals 9. This is not looking pretty, but we're going to have to do it anyway. Now when you square a bracket, effectively what you're doing is you're timesing that bracket by itself. Okay, so this is what it's going to look like as we now start to expand it. We're going to expand the top with the top and the bottom with the bottom. So it's going to be 49 minus 4 times 7, that would be minus 28y, minus another 28y, and then minus 4y times minus 4y, that will give us plus 16y squared, and all of this is going to be over 3 times 3, which is 9. That would be minus 4y squared equals 9. Now the easiest thing to do now will be to multiply everything by 9. So 49 divided by 9 times 9 is 49. I can group these two bits together here, so that would be minus 56y and plus 16y squared. So from this line to this line I'm multiplying by 9, but nothing happened to these bits because these bits were being divided by 9, so it's just cancelled out the fraction. But then all of the other bits need to be multiplied by 9 as well, so that would be 36y squared and equals 81. At least we've now got it all on one line. So now we need to simplify, so that's going to make it minus 20y squared minus 56y, and then it's 49 take away 81, moving the 81 onto the same side, that's going to make it minus 32 equals 0. Well, they're all minuses, so we might as well add them onto the other side and make everything positive now. And then maybe we might be able to divide through by 4. So 5y squared plus 56 divided by 4 is 14. And 32 divided by 4 is 8. Alright then, so let's now see if we can factorise. It will be 5y and y equals 0. So we've got pairs of 4 and 2. Yeah, 4 and 2 will do it. If I put 2 over here and 4 over here, that will make it 10y and 4y. So y is equal to minus 4/5, or y is equal to minus 2. So let's now start solving the x value. So minus 4/5 for the y value. So we'll grab this equation here and we'll use it to work out what x is equal to. So I'm going to use my calculator and I'm going to put in minus 4/5 as an answer value and then do fraction 7 minus 4 answer over 3. That's 17 over 5. And then y is equal to, this time, minus 2. And then use that same calculation and I get 5. So there we are, those are our pairs of equations. This one was really tough because what we had to do is we had to substitute in a fraction and then expand a squared fraction to get to our quadratic equation. We then did a multiply by 9 to get rid of all of that big divided by 9, but then remember everything else gets multiplied by 9 as well that's not in the fraction. And then we rearranged it, quadratic formula, solve the equations. Alright then, let's have a go at this question here then. I think back to an easier style of question. Pause the video and give this one a go. Okay, so in this equation here, I think it would be best if we started to rearrange 2x minus y equals 7. Maybe we'll make y equals, so we'll add the y onto the other side, and then we'll take away the 7 onto the left. So it's 2x minus 7 we're going to be replacing the letter y with. So x squared plus y squared equals 34. And we're going to replace y squared with 2x minus 7. The y was being squared, so the bracket needs to be squared as well. The next thing we need to do is to treat this squaring as two brackets that are multiplying together. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to expand the bracket, so it's going to be 4x squared minus, and it'll be minus 7 times 2x is minus 14. Then we've got another minus 14, so that'll be minus 28x. Then plus 49 equals 34. Then it's going to be 5x squared minus 28x. Then it'll be 49 take away 34, that'll be plus 15 equals 0. Okay, so let's now see what we can do with this. 49 minus 34, 15, yeah. Okay, so let's go for 5x squared minus 28x plus 15 equals 0. And then we can factorise, so it's going to be 5x in one bracket, x in the other bracket, and I reckon it's going to be minus 3 over here and minus 5 over here. That will make them minus 15, but then it will be minus 5 times 5 is minus 25, and then another minus 3x, that will make it minus 28x, good. So it's going to be x equals 3 over 5, or x equals 5, and then we'll use this little small equation to work out what y is equal to. So it's going to be y equals 6 over 5 minus 7. Let's do that on the calculator. 6 over 5 minus 7. That's going to give us minus 29 over 5. And then for this one here, y is going to equal to 10 minus 7, that's 3. So these are our pairs of solutions here and here. Lovely, there we are, that's the answer to this question. Okay, and moving on to the final question from this video. Pause the video and give this question a go. Okay, so what this question means is if we have a circle and if we have a tangent to the circle, then the tangent will only cross the circle at one specific point. It will be effectively a line that comes down, just brushes against the circle and then heads off in the other direction. So it's just a touching point rather than really an intersecting point. So we need to prove that there is only one solution to this simultaneous equation. So that's the target, just one solution. So let's start solving the simultaneous equations. At the moment we have x minus 2y equals 10, and I think it's going to be easier if we rearrange this to make it 2y plus 10 on the other side by adding 2y onto the other side, and then taking our quadratic simultaneous equation and replacing x with 2y plus 10. So let's go ahead and do that then. 2y plus 10 I'm replacing the x with. X was being squared beforehand, so 2y plus 10 needs to be squared. Plus y squared equals 20. The next thing we need to do is expand 2y plus 10 squared, and when it's 2y plus 10 squared, it's effectively 2y plus 10 multiplied by itself 2 times. That's what the little 2 represents. So expanding the brackets, it's going to be 4y squared plus 20y plus another 20y, that'll make it 40y in total, plus 100, plus y squared equals 20. The next thing we'll do is we'll simplify 5y squared plus 40y plus 100, but then take away the 20 onto the left hand side, because when we solve simultaneous equations everything must be on the same side, and then divide through by 5, because I've spotted that all the numbers can be divided by 5. I get y squared plus 16 plus, no sorry, that's not right, is it? It's y squared plus 8y plus 16. There we are, that's better. And now we need to factorise this, and I think this factorises to y plus 4 equals 0. So therefore the only solution that we get out of this is y equals minus 4. It happens twice. And then we can also work out the x coordinate as well, because x equals 2y plus 10, so that's going to make it minus 8 plus 10, that's 2. So the intersection point equals the coordinate 2 minus 4, and that's only one coordinate. Only one coordinate. This is a tangent. Okay, and there we are. That's the answer to this question then. And that's the final question for the video as well. So there we are. Hopefully you've had lots of practice at solving quadratic simultaneous equations. If you feel like you need some more practice, then maybe go back to the start of the video and have a go at some of the questions, and hopefully some memories will start to be formed there. And yeah, lovely. Thanks very much for watching. I hope you found it helpful.